So for next week, in addition to more work with the drawing tools, you need to understand layers. So you will need to make at least 2 layers in next week's drawing. For those of you who have used Photoshop and Illustrator before, this should be very familiar and you'll catch on to it very quickly. For those of you without any prior experience, just go over this video as many times as you want, and you can also look at the file that I'm also going to upload for Canvas for you to look at, and you will also catch on to it very soon. It's very important to understand layers to make the rest of the semester go more smoothly, because as you get into animation, every single object that you want to have moving needs to be isolated on its own layers. So if you understand this for next week, this one step, then that will make it go more easily, and it will make more sense after that. So I am going to draw a mountain. Okay, now I'm going to choose a blue color. Here's the sky. Okay, so notice that my brush is very small. It's going to take me a long time to fill up a sky like that. So I am going to make the brush a little bit bigger, and this is a really good trick. On the right hand side of the keyboard, which you can't see now, there are some bracket keys. It's in the right hand side next to the letter P. There's a left hand and a right hand, and if you hold those down, you can make your brush bigger or smaller from the keyboard. So I find this very easy. So I'm holding down the right bracket key. If you hold down the left bracket key, that happens. Okay, so I'm holding down the right bracket key to make it bigger. And I'm just going to make a big sky. And I'm going to choose, a dark green, and I'm going to make some mountains. So I'm going to hold down the left bracket key here, make it a little smaller, and make some mountains. Actually, this looks a little more like hills. It's a little rough, so I'm just going to smooth it out a little bit. And I am going to make some clouds. And again, my brush is too big. I'm going to make some smaller clouds here. Okay, so this is all on the first layer that you automatically get when you open up any document. So these are the layers here in the lower left hand part. At least the way I have my screen set up is in the lower left hand part. So this part right here that says off, has that little icon and says off, just ignore that for the rest of the semester. Leave that turned off. Okay, so this is layer 1. You automatically get this one layer. I'm going to double click on it, and it's going to make it blue, give it a blue highlight. So now I can rename it, and it's really a good idea to start naming your layers with names you can understand, because you're going to end up with quite a few layers as the semester goes on. It makes it easier to understand where you are. So this is my first layer. Now I'm going to make a second layer. Okay, so this lower left hand part, when I mouse over it, it says new layer. You can't see it, but I'm going to click on this icon, and now I get layer 2. I get a second layer. So I'm going to double click on that, and I'm going to call it a bird. Okay, because I'm going to draw a little bird. I have to make the brush shape a lot smaller. So I'm just gonna click on that, and I'm going to make it black. Okay, so you can tell that I'm drawing on the second layer because this second layer is selected. See how it's highlighted in brown? So I'm gonna draw a bird right there. That's my bird. Okay, so you still don't really understand layers because all I've done is draw things. Okay, so layers, each layer automatically is put on top of the first layer. And this eyeball icon, that eyeball icon right there, makes things visible or not visible. So first I drew the landscape layer, okay, and this is selected. You can see that it's selected because it looks like it has a little screen over it. Okay, now I deselected it. So this landscape was all on this first layer, okay, and I turned this bird off. Now I'm turning it on and off, and you can see it appear and disappear. If I turn the landscape layer on and off, it also appears and disappears. So this will be useful to you later on, and it's also helpful to understand the layers, because this doesn't get rid of what you drew. It just gets, it's just hiding it. Okay, so it helps you to be able to isolate each thing. So when I'm selected on the bird layer, the bird becomes automatically selected, and I can change the color really easily, for example. Okay. The other thing you can do is you can change the layer order. So if I select the landscape and I move it on top of the bird, you just drag it, the bird is no longer visible. Okay, that's because the landscape is covering it up. So I can draw another bird. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to put that layer on top, and I'm going to call that Big Bird. This is getting kind of silly. Ooh, Big Bird. Okay, I'm selected on that Big Bird layer. Maybe I'll make this bird yellow for Big Bird. Okay, and I'm going to use a very big brush. Use a brush like that. I'm going to use a big brush. Maybe make it bigger. Okay, so that's my bigger bird. So you can take Big Bird and you can move that and turn the layers on and off. So now I have 3 layers. So understand layers, you only have to do 2 layers, and let me know if you have any problems with this.